Welcome to Saturday's Warrior. We're coming to you live right after the BYU Baylor game. BYU desperately needed this one after going on a 4-game losing streak. They now ended that. This really felt, I've been saying this for weeks, for several games now. Feels like a must-have. Feels like a must-win for BYU. And alas, they finally got that win. They're kind of able to turn things around and change the narrative a little bit. The question is, and we'll talk a little bit about this tonight, was this a factor of playing an inferior team? And inferior is the wrong word because Baylor is a good team, but they're not on the level of the Arizonas, the Kansas, the Texas Tech, apparently not even Oklahoma State. But is it because BYU is playing slightly lesser competition, or has BYU started figuring some things out? Are they getting focused? Are they making the changes they need to? And is this something that they can build off of going forward? So we're going to get into all of that as we get going. Please join us in the chat. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get this out there. I love to reach more and more people and keep the conversation going. Having said all that, let's get into our reactions of the game. This was an early one, so I'm guessing many people, because this was a pretty early tip-off, 5 o'clock local time for Utah and BYU fans out west. For me, East Coast, 7 o'clock was still early, still running kids around, trying to catch the game, trying to time my time in the car along with timeouts the best I could during a lot of that first half, and then bedtime and everything during the second half. So I watched a lot of this on my phone on the go. So this is definitely one I want to go back and rewatch a little bit, see if we can't get a better sense of what happened in this game, what BYU did differently. Also, I would like to point out that I realized as I'm sitting here looking at myself record this video, I'm wearing a green hoodie. This is not for Baylor. This is not a Baylor. It is green and yellow, same colors, but not Baylor, although nothing against Baylor, but certainly not cheering for them tonight. So some initial thoughts from what I saw. I mean, obviously you can't, I think the big story, yes, AJ going for 36, but that's something that we expect from AJ. Rob Wright, who's been, one of the top 3 scorers, but and they've kind of shifted along, it seems, game to game, who kind of takes over these games. But, man, he came up big in this game at Baylor. He did not shrink from the moment at all, and I think that's very telling, especially for a guy who's, like many of the players at BYU, have had their ups and downs over the last several weeks. He came up ready to play. You knew this was going to be a raucous environment, that they were going to boo him, that they were going to say a lot of things. What were they chanting at the end? Traitor, all that stuff. And as they should. If the tables were turned and this were BYU may be too nice, I think the same thing. That's all fair game. He knew that when he signed up for it. He knew that when he went to a conference foe, that you are going to get that. And so, and he had fun with it too, smiling at the fans, kind of playing into it and riling them up. And again, I don't think he has any hard feelings towards Baylor. That is not why he left. And I can understand why fans would be mad at him, but I don't think he left for anything because of Baylor. He just went for another opportunity, playing alongside AJ DeBonsa, and probably a paycheck as well. But anyway, so yeah, I love seeing that. Looking at and speaking of AJ and Rob, not only were they playing really well, but Kevin Young was riding the hot hand this game, because both of them had 40 minutes and it feels like they were on the court. Well, I guess they were on the court the entire time. Did they really not get subbed out at all? Again, that's the problem with coming in and out of the game on my phone as much as I did. Is I can't say for sure, but that's what it's saying here. So 40 minutes of playing time for both of them. And what I liked best is watching them play. And I felt like this from the team overall is something that's been different is it didn't feel like it was as forced. That's something we've been seeing in a lot of these games. It's like, hey, your turn, my turn. Hey, let's kind of back out of the way, let AJ go. It felt like guys were moving. It felt like guys were taking shots in the flow of the offense. Like, I have no problem with AJ taking threes. I know he's not, that's an area of his game that he could continue to improve. He can be a very effective 3-point shooter, but it happens within the flow of the offense when he just kind of dribbles out on the outside for a little bit and then decide, no one's moving, there's no opening, whatever, he decides just to pull up and shoot it. That's not in the flow of the offense. I don't know if I've seen him hit any of those, but when they're moving and making passes and getting those open looks that they want, or it's in transition, he has been a very good shooter, and especially on nights like tonight. So very, very happy with what we saw there. Richie Saunders still got his 15. Richie does Richie things. He always will. And even when he's having an off night, 15 points, most players, that's a great night in college basketball. So 15 points as a quiet night for Richie. I think the commentators were talking a little bit about Richie and, if they can slow him down, how, that impacts the team. And that's true. But when you have it, that's why you have a big three. When you have AJ and Rob playing the way they were, not as big of an issue because Richie still gives you defense. He still gives you rebounds. He still gives you hustle plays. And that is what he brought tonight. I think he played really well. I saw him finish well around the rim. He's able to attack. There are a couple times, and I've seen this of late, and I don't know if it's just because earlier in the season against inferior competition, he was getting those drives. It felt like at will to drive in those, and the way he can finish under the hoop is just. I don't know if I've seen another player like that, at least at BYU, the way he can go and find weird angles to get up. But it feels like he forces it sometimes, and those are the shots that he seems to miss. And he had a couple of those tonight where he seemed to force it a little bit. It just wasn't there. Again, now he's going up against Big 12. He's going up against bigger guys, against better defenders, and that may be part of it. But then in the second half, you didn't see that as much, and he was getting his. And so I really like that from him. But again, it comes with when they're not forcing it. Sometimes this team is just not played cohesively. Like, they have talent. It's like, put it all together. They're, a lot of times they say, oh, this team is more than the sum of their parts. I feel like BYU over this last stretch has kind of played less than the sum of their parts. And that is concerning in many regards, because it's saying, hey, we have all this talent. BYU should be more successful. Actually, I'm going to pause because I want to talk about Moo Davis real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about big picture with BYU. So Moo Davis, man, what did he get? 12 points tonight. So still over 3, but still able to go out and get some points. Now, 6 of those were free throws. So he, but that is a way. If that's what it takes to get yourself going, great. Get the other team in foul trouble, and really get get yourself going offensively if that's what it takes. But he is a guy that if they can find a way to unlock him, then I think he can really help elevate this team to the next level. Everyone talks about Moet Mag from last year, and we need that guy. And a lot of people have been calling for Moo to be benched. This is a very, very common sentiment amongst BYU fans right now. Bench Moo for Boop and get him on in the starting lineup because he brings that energy, that tenacity, and the ability to guard basically 1 through 5. And Moo just really hasn't been living up to that defensively. Like, I think he does some nice things defensively, but man, on closeouts and things, I see a lot of guys are able to get good shots off against him. He's not closing out enough, and I don't know if that's hustle or what. But tonight on the rebounds, actually, how many rebounds did he have? 3 rebounds. So maybe I just happened to catch a couple of them, but it felt like he was there were those hustle plays, the energy plays, and so I really like that. I hope he can kind of figure that out and do that fill that mag role. He's not going to be as good of a defender, which is too bad because I think that's what he was kind of billed as we were bringing him in. But he also has the potential to be more of an offensive threat. Now it's hard when you have three guys with as high usage as BYU has to be that fourth guy. And maybe he's just one of those guys that needs the ball in his hands more to do that. And I don't know. I don't think we want Moo handling the ball all the time, but he does have the capability. He can do that. We saw. I don't know if you've seen it. I've watched the highlights from him at Southern Illinois, but again, that was against a different level of competition. But he doesn't have to do that much. If he could just start spotting up and hitting threes like he did, what game was that? Where he was cold and then he came in and then eventually started hitting some. I was hoping that was going to be a turn around for him. What I will say that I really like is that he did hit 6 of his 7 free throws. That is good because free throws actually across the board were much better tonight because that's been something that's been incredibly frustrating on some of these close games for BYU. If you are going to be a guy that lives at the line like AJ DeBonsa, you've got to be you've just got to hit down your free throws, especially on these one-on-ones. One of my issues is you're not just missing one free throw. Like it should count for more. Like if you're a 75% free throw shooter and you miss the front end of a one-on-one, I mean, that should count as 1.75 because that would be your likelihood of hitting that next point. Like those are the points that you've left on the table. And that's something that should be considered because that's huge, huge. Which he won't have to worry about once he gets to the NBA. Hey, C. Will, good to have you back here in the chat. He says, I was at my daughter's basketball game with Greg Wrubell in my ear listening to the voice of the Cougs. Yes. That's how I'd like to do it is when I'm watching Sync Up with Greg Wrubell, but I'm usually I'm trying to catch up, so I'm fast forwarding or I'm on YouTube watching, depending on what channel it's on YouTube, trying to, and there's always a delay. So it's difficult to try to line that up and everything and often have interruptions depending on the time of the day. So I'm not usually able to sync it up, but if I can't watch it all, I definitely like listening to Greg Wrubell. So that is, I think, a win right there. Way to be fulfill your fatherly duties as well as be able to catch what you could of the game. I'd be interested to hear what Greg Wrubell's comments were on the game overall, what his sentiment was, and on how the team looked. So let me know if he had any great insights or anything that he noticed in the game. But and I don't know if you've been here the whole time, C. Will, but he was, I was saying that I was kind of spotty. I was in and out tonight with also kids' activities and things. So caught a fair amount of the game, but missed a lot of it. So this is one I'll have to go back on. But anyway, so those are my big observations from the game, at least from the players, each player tonight. Boop, I don't know if they'll end up. It doesn't sound like Kevin Young is inclined to switch him into the starting lineup for Moo at any point. So now I'm just looking, okay, well, what can we do to get Moo going? And he doesn't need to score a lot, but he needs to be able to score when they need him to. He needs to stay open. He needs to stay ready. And those moments will come because those guys are going to be focusing on those other three. And it seems like that's what he was able to do tonight. And if you're able to, get a quiet 12 points off of, just because it's there, because, they're focused on other guys on the court, then I think that's awesome. Just work on those 3-pointers and, maybe that's just not his game. Maybe it won't be. Boop. I don't know. I mean, he missed his one that he took as well. I don't know if he's as much of a scorer, but again, you don't really need him to score at all levels as long as he can just hit some threes and play defense and go after boards, then you'll be happy. Speaking of which, it felt like BYU, talking about the team as a whole now, kind of the direction the team is going for this season. Wait, let me get see Will here real quick. He says, I'll have to catch the rest later. Glad we finally got a win. Hey, no problem. Glad you hopped on. Check you next time. So anyway, um, my thoughts, I guess, on the season so far is obviously it's been a little bit concerning seeing, BYU getting off to slow starts, being able to make this furious comebacks, coming up short, losing to Oklahoma State was concerning as well. Speaking of which, I'd like to point out I haven't been doing these live reactions as often. It's been difficult. Schedule's been a little bit different, and we've had some late games, so it just hasn't worked out. It has not been anything to do with the losing streak. In fact, I want to get on after a losing streak even more so and talk about what I'd like to see the team do better. But and this next week I will be actually for some time I'll be traveling a bit. So not sure when I'll be able to get the next one up. So I wanted to hop on tonight and talk about this a little bit, but we'll see if BYU is able to keep this momentum going. If they have turned a corner, again, it seemed like tonight they were playing with more energy, more urgency that they felt like they had to have this one. And again, it really did feel like a must have, but they didn't seem tight. They didn't seem I don't know. It didn't seem like the pressure was getting to them. I think early on, even though it was kind of back and forth, AJ was getting going and he started feeling good and started warming up, and Baylor was never able to slow him down. So I don't know if this is just, again, it did feel like the team was hustling more, going after rebounds, making a better effort on defense. And I hope all that's true. And I hope that's something that we continue to see going forward throughout the rest of the season. But I also wonder a little bit, is this just because Baylor was not able to slow down AJ? Maybe they don't have the same level of defenders that Houston and Texas Tech, Arizona have, that with those double, triple teams that they were able to slow him down and, kind of get BYU out of their groove. And if you're not able to slow down AJ, then everything starts clicking because, if he doesn't have it, and then they all of a sudden send the other guys, you're just going to find his open man, which he made some great passes tonight. And Rob Wright and others made him pay. So I'm hoping it's not just because they couldn't slow down AJ, because inevitably BYU will run it against other teams in the Big 12 tournament. And once you get to March Madness, you will run up against eventually teams that can slow AJ down. And so how this team reacts to that is going to be key. So I want to see this BYU team be able to pull out close wins, physical wins, different types of wins against teams, even when AJ is being slowed down, even when he's not having the best night. And I think it's not too late for this team, as this team is right now. I mean, Sweet 16, I do think they're Sweet 16 quality team. I think they could go on a run to Elite Eight, but the way they're playing now, the way they've looked, I think Elite Eight feels like a little bit of a stretch. And I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm not saying, hey, I'm out on this team. This team absolutely has the pieces to put it all together. They still have the talent. They have, I think, complementary pieces for the most part. There's some things they've had to find some workarounds with, but I think there's enough talent there to compensate. And I think that there's enough there to really be that team we thought they would be before the season started, and that we saw glimpses of earlier in the season, albeit against lesser competition. They can get there. I don't think they're there yet. Tonight was a positive sign in the right direction. You hope that this can help them build some momentum, get their mojo back, start feeling what it's like when things are clicking, and be able to take that energy and the way they play into the next game. Fortunately, the next game is against Colorado, and that could be, perfect timing, because then they go to Arizona, and that is going to be a heck of a game. Now, we saw them just lose last night, which was a great game between Arizona and Kansas. And man, I love the Big 12. I love being in the Big 12 and watching this conference. But Arizona, I mean, they had BYU's number last game, and BYU showed at the end, hey, if we can start putting things together, we're going to be a team to reckon with. But they did get a little bit of help at the end. There were some calls. Now, some of them maybe iffy, some of them deserved, and I think were the right calls. But nonetheless, they had to take. It was like this miraculous. It was like one of those like fantasy type comeback things. It's like, hey, the game's not over yet. You try to convince yourself, and you say, if we just do this and get a turnover, and then this and that, and it looked just like a wild fantasy, and only they came up just a little bit short. And it's weird because it felt like kind of a moral victory going up and doing that against a team like Arizona. But then we saw Kansas last night, and they were down Darren Peterson, which that's a different conversation. And they didn't back down. And so it's like there are no moral victories. Like, yes, that won't look terrible on your resume. In fact, some ways it may pad your resume still. A very close loss to a team like Arizona. It's the clear number one. But you'd like to see BYU be able to take advantage of those. And a big way they can do that is not going down early. So anyway, that's nothing new. This has been something we've belabored, not just on this show, but on all BYU media and fans and Twitter, everywhere, that we know it's the slow starts that's killing him. But it's also a lack of energy, lack of cohesiveness, and lack of playing together, getting the ball moving, and getting everyone involved. And tonight looked a lot better. What I don't like to see is that BYU almost let Baylor pull a BYU and make a furious comeback. And it was a little bit different being on this side of things. Fortunately, Baylor never got quite as close, but there were a couple moments that they started making me nervous. It was around, I think it was under 3 minutes, and they hit a three. And I thought, oh, shoot, that is not good. And BYU continued to do enough to win, but, it's tough when you have to kind of slow down and get out of what helped you get to where you were in the first place. So anyway, I think this team is still going to get there. I think that we have not seen the best basketball from this team, so I am by no means out on them. I think they can get to the point where they are Final Four worthy. I don't know, like with AJ DeBonsa, with Richie Saunders, with these guys, like championship should not be out of the question. I still think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I certainly think that they can make a Final Four run, and they've got to. BYU's gone all in on AJ DeBonsa, and he's about as much, he said so, and that these are his goals, and so now they've got to back it up, and the rest of the team has got to come along with him. So we will see. There is going to be still a lot of great basketball ahead of us. Still some good games, but fortunately a little bit more winnable games than the Murderers Row that BYU had earlier. These last couple weeks. But I'm just looking ahead here. But they're still tough. I say it's not the Murderers Row. It's far from easy though, because you got at Arizona, followed up by an Iowa State game, and they are certainly elite as well. Currently number 5. But then UCF has been good, very good, and had some quality wins here in the conference. So that is not going to be the gimme that maybe we thought coming into the season. At West Virginia, wouldn't rule that one out. At Cincy, things, maybe turning there for them. But then lastly, you got to end against Texas Tech. Can BYU get that Texas Tech monkey off their back? I know women's basketball had that great win over them, but man, I'd like the men's team to also go out there and be able to end that skid against Texas Tech teams across football and basketball. So anyway, really look forward to that. Is this this year's version of last year's West Virginia game when they're at West Virginia really figured something out? I don't think so, but I do think that this is the step in the right direction. And maybe it can be. Maybe this will be the catalyst they needed. Maybe they can start getting some things right against Colorado and then really parlay that into some of these tougher matchups that they have to round out the regular season. And we'll see. I think we've got the best. We've yet to see the best of BYU's basketball, and we got plenty of good moments ahead of us. I'm just cherishing every moment we have with AJ because we know it's going to be short-lived. And man, we're already over halfway through the season, but still a lot of basketball between Big 12 tournament, hopefully a lot of basketball in the Big 12 tournament for BYU and March Madness as well. So anyway, thank you for watching. Wasn't planning on hopping on tonight. This is kind of impromptu. So thank you for joining me again. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We will be doing these post-game live reaction videos as well as some other more regular content once schedules get more aligned. So be sure to subscribe so you can catch all of that. Thank you so much for watching. As always, go Cougs.